I don't think there's much difference between Pattinson and Holt, to be honest.
I'd way rather see
Holt.
Nazi from Twilight.
Yeah.
Woo!
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Welcome to Comically Gaming 43.
Episode 143, huh? Which this is the third week of May.
Yeah,
Another week left. Next week's Memorial Day weekend.
it is already.
Doing the Triforce in the dark.
Nice. Dirk's in Termite Land. I got a snowstorm going on. May 20th
Really?
in Colorado here. Yeah, it's coming. It's snowing hard right now.
Just keep your snow up there. That's
I
what
know
I'm saying.
it's so nice every other day that it's almost like you kind of let it kind of brush it off when it happens. But yeah, May 20th is too late. I'm officially over it at this point.
And you left Minnesota because there was snow in May, and now you have snow in May.
But this snow in May is not coupled by a winter of sub-zero temperatures. You know what I mean? So it's not as insulting when it happens.
This is America, people. It's like 88 where I'm at right now.
Yeah, right. Snowing.
And what? We're like 3 states over.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I wanted to kick this week's show off. I don't want to get too crazy with this, but wanted to kind of say goodbye to everybody. If folks, any of you fans who've been watching the show from the get-go, me and Corey are kind of bowing out. I'll let Corey kind of say a word in a minute here, but I just feel like really, really, really grateful to have done this these 3 years basically at this point, and enjoyed every minute of it. I'll just say that without going into details, basically I just don't have enough time for it. Like when I look into all the things that I do in my life, I need to dedicate more time to my family, right? And people who actually watch all the time will notice that we were gone for 3 weeks a couple weeks back. And that was kind of me trying to feel out like what I would need to do to kind of feel like I'm in a good spot. And even after that break, I promised these guys I'd kind of let them know what I planned on doing. I still don't know. Like that wasn't long enough, really. Like I do feel like my heart's still in it, and I still want to try and do something. So I may come back at some point. But as we go now, I'm kind of handing it off to Dirk and Jeff, and I know that they'll be awesome going forward, and that if I want to jump back in and ride on their coattails, they'll be more than happy to have me. So yeah, I'm bowing out, almost like I'm calling it permanent, but it might not be. I have some ideas of things I want to do, but I just need to see again how the time in my life kind of goes and all that, and just want to thank anybody who's been watching and commenting all along with us and talking about video games and Dungeons and Dragons and all this stuff. It's been really fun, and just really appreciate everybody, and especially the 3 of you for doing it with me as well. Couldn't couldn't do this without y'all.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, like, my wife's already making fun of me because I'm like, oh well, I want to like guest on their E3 show, and she's like, well, when's that? I'm like, oh, it's like 2 weeks. She's like, so you're not really stopping. I'm like, no, I guess I'm not. But yeah, I hope to be a guest star on what you guys do going forward here and there.
Always.
Big weeks and whatnot as well. So anyways,
absolutely.
Again, love everybody. This is Nate's 143 episodes in. I did 143 before bowing out. But yeah, then Corey, kind of say, what do you got going on, Corey? I'll let you speak for yourself.
Basically, it's a similar thing. Just after all these years, I just, with it being summer here now, and I just started a new job this week, so I don't know how that schedule is going to be.
Don't cry.
But yeah, the same thing. I love doing the show. It's just it's gone on for so long. I the same thing. I mean, I took the break and I enjoyed the break, and I missed the show though. And I like Nate said, I still want to guest on upcoming shows when big stuff happens, and still talk with you guys, play D&D, and but yeah, thank you to everybody. Probably this is my last official show, but like Nate said, we'll still be around. We're not gone for good.
Absolutely. You'll always see these guys.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks everybody, and yeah, we'll see you soon. But yeah,
The founder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like Dave from Wendy's.
Yeah. So, but yeah, into our weeks. Just going off what I said there was I didn't do much this week because it's my last week at my old job. Today was my first day at my new job. So it's been crazy. I didn't even have a day off. I would watch Game of Thrones. We'll talk about that later. Watch some anime. I did play the Resident Evil demo finally.
Oh
Yeah. That's I think that's the only game I played this week, but it's pretty fun. It's funny, those games scare me so much more than they used to when I was younger for some reason. I'm like terrified that
Awesome.
like zombies gonna come busting out a window, and like it's pretty fun. I'll probably pick it up next time it goes on sale for sure. But yeah, other than that, not much. It's just been like Jeff's house buying weeks. I just had a busy
life.
part of my life week. Closing up the old job, starting a new job. So
I understand completely.
yeah, that's my week. How about you, Dirk?
My week, I played a lot of Dragon Ball Fighterz. I beat the first. So there's 3 arcs, and they don't tell you what the arcs are as you go on. There's a hero's arc, and I beat that. And then the second arc is the villain. So you actually play in the fighting sequence as Frieza, which is one of the big bad guys from the Dragon Ball series. But it's a completely new storyline. It's not anything from the show. They just take the characters and they scripted something completely new, which is so awesome. They have also you can get it with the subtitles with the Japanese voices, and it's the same Japanese voice actors from the show. So it's fantastic, man. I don't know why. I normally do not give a shit about fighting games, and I love this game for whatever reason. So let's see that I have not got to start it yet, but it was on sale. I purchased Far Cry 5.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Well,
So that'll be my next one as soon as I finish with DBZ. And then I've been reading a bunch of comics. It's probably too many to get into. I'll say I finally read Absolute Carnage, or not Absolute Carnage, but the prequel to Absolute Carnage, and that shit's just crazy for Marvel to do. It's really insanely psychotic and out there.
Is it old at this point, or?
Well, it's from the Free Comic Book Day, that Spider-Man one. You have it, right?
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's it.
Why don't you tell the people why you're in the dark?
yeah.
Oh, well,
Dark Boy.
New Orleans has had termites since the 60s with Vietnam, and termites coming back on the ships, and they've taken hold of the city, and every summer, usually early summertime, we get hordes of termites, and if you don't turn your lights off, they will just destroy your house and flood you inside your house. I've had them where the lights were all off, and then I turned them on, and there were literally thousands of them.
Oh my god.
Gross, dude.
It was like it was a horror movie. So,
Sounds like going up north and all the mayflies attack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're as gross. Yeah, they're as gross.
It's awful. And then they all mate.
Clouds.
Yeah, they all mate, and their bodies are just dead the next day from mating, and clean it up. It's an awful experience. I think that's it. Oh, and I've been watching Umbrella Academy still. I'm trying to finish that out. I love it. I can't wait to get to the end. I think I have 1 or 2 more episodes, and that's it. So I'm gonna totally read the comic.
Love it?
I love it. I
Yeah?
love it. I didn't
That's
think
cool.
I would, man. But the more it went on, as the episodes went on, the more I loved it. And I'm totally gonna read the comic book as soon as it's finished. So that was my week.
Wow.
Jeff?
That is a crazy, crazy, crazy,
Oh, you
crazy.
say that.
Well, I was in Denver like most of last week, and I was in Denver for 3 days, but it felt like a whole week. But I did get some time in. I played a boatload of Final Fantasy X on my Switch. I took it with me and was playing out on the plane.
Nice. You
Better-
bypassed me up then.
It's a better way to take a plane ride than to just get lost in a JRPG.
Oh yeah,
Because
for sure.
you're like, oh, we're here already, but I'm only like this part into the story. Hold on, I got wait till I get to a
Right.
save point. I will
Right.
not deboard the plane until I get to a save point. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought Xenoblade on a flight once. Alright.
Yeah, it's
nice.
crazy. And what else did I do? Well, when I was in Denver, I got to do something pretty cool. I got to tour Coors Field, where the Rockies play.
Right.
And that was pretty sweet. And just had a good time in downtown Denver looking at all the meth addicts like freaking out and tweaking and stuff.
That's downtown anywhere nowadays.
Yep.
Pretty much. And then what else did I play? Oh, I started playing some Red Dead Redemption 2 again.
What?
Yeah, I know. I was like,
You?
I feel like playing this, and it's hooked me again. I'm like, all right,
You gotta
I-
finish it, dude.
I gotta finish it. That's what I was
Listen,
thinking.
I'm not kidding when I say it's one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
That's so
bullshit.
good.
I don't say that lightly.
Yeah, I figured it's time to beat it, and they've done some updates to it, and I don't know, it feels different this time after putting it aside for a while. It feels different this time, and I'm like,
It gets so bonkers. I mean, it goes places that you just don't think as a Western it's gonna go.
What
Yeah.
city are you in right now?
I'm still out in camping by the river.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been so long, dude. It's like I just stole a wagon full of guns and explosives.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's pretty. It's a lot of fun getting back into it, and I only died once. I got killed by a pack of wolves.
So you played 2 games. Both of them are like 100-hour games.
Pretty much, yeah. So my life is over as we know at this point. But the last thing is, oh no, not last thing. So y'all give me crap about watching network TV a lot, and so I started watching that Chernobyl miniseries on HBO.
Yeah.
That is really good.
I want to watch it, dude.
That
That's
is really good. It
up
shows
there
how
with
messed up.
Watchmen as my follow-up. Yeah.
It shows how messed up the Soviet Union and the Soviets were with communism. It's
I heard it's
crazy.
not for the squeamish.
No, it shows and it's just radiation burns, but how they show the actual what radiation burns actually look like, and you're like, dude. And
Yeah.
and then my last thing is I might be potentially moving early because our sellers want to close earlier because their house is ready. So now we just have to talk our buyers into buying earlier.
Real estate. Real estate.
It's
Love it.
crazy. But no, that was my week. It was a really jet lag filled week. And
Gotcha.
I learned about plumbing on Saturday. So yeah.
Saw that.
Yeah. That's a
Nice.
whole nother story for a different show with Bob Vila.
Just
Beyond
old
the
pal.
scope.
So I've got a little bit of show and tell, and I'll be sure to tell for the audio listeners. Last week when I talked about my New Orleans trip, I forgot to talk about the fact that I bought this book. It's the 3rd edition Eberron campaign setting, and was really what I really want to do. I really want to buy all the campaign settings. Like I don't care about like the old player's manual because I'm probably not going to play 3.5 D&D. I'm probably going to play either 5th edition or a different game altogether going forward.
How
But I
far
do
back
like-
are you going though?
I'll go as far back as their shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as I understand, like with each edition, they kind of move the story forward in the different settings that they had. So lots of these have like events and things, you know, that especially like when I don't have it here, but when I got the what's the Forgotten Realms one, you know, you compare that to Swords Coast Adventures from 5e, and there's story things that happen to the world that move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I almost see these as like history books, you know,
Right.
more than anything. And this is thick. This got a lot of stuff and a lot of content.
Right.
You know? Dirk, you had shared that that PDF of the Eberron, and we'll talk more about Eberron later. This is fortuitous, right? But I just love these campaign setting books. Please, Wizards, make as many of these as you can. Like, I'm not going to buy a bunch of adventures that I'm not going to DM, right? I'll probably buy Strahd when we finish it because I want to see what the book was like or whatnot after. But I'm not going to buy all these other books. But I would buy the crap out of these. You just make as many of these as you want to. So, anyways, this week I went to our scooter club night. Is Wednesday nights, and the scooter shop here in town has a game shop in the front half of the building, and I've just never have walked in there. So this week I finally walked in there, and I'm like, hey, what do you got there? And more Eberron. So they got
they had their own player's guide as well as the setting. Wow, that is crazy.
Yep, exactly. So you'd still use the regular player's handbook, but this supplements it if you want to get, you know, down with the new classes and things like that. So yeah, really, really awesome. And then this Christmas I got the Star Wars, the old school, the first TTRPG that they ever made for Star Wars. I got that collection that Fantasy Flight sells nowadays. And in the store on their used shelf, I found the Rebel Alliance source book and the Imperial source book for that game. So it's funny, like these games are very they feel old compared to playing 5e, but again, just like for me, just to read these for fun, there's so much cool shit in here, so much cool shit. It's crazy. For a Star Wars nerd, they go deep on ships and bases and all this other stuff. There's more detail around like Star Wars ships in these than I've seen my whole life and anything else, and I've consumed a lot of Star Wars shit, right? So yeah, that's awesome. My show and tell section was.
Are those books canon with the movie?
With what?
With the movies?
I don't know. I don't know what they you know, no, people didn't have that distinction back in the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all just Star Wars. The only bit of TV other than Game of Thrones is that we're still watching What We Do in the Shadows, and at this point, I really love it. I gotta say, like, before I was kind of like here or there about it, and now I really look forward to it every week. It's nice. It's stupid, and lots of their jokes kind of miss, but just the weird sense of humor that they have is right kind of on
check
par.
it out.
Yeah, with what I like, so it's fun to watch. And then PlayStation's still playing Spider-Man. And this week, me and Oliver put a bunch of time into the single-player story mode of For Honor, and I gotta say, way more impressive than I expected it to be. The actual like stories themselves are forgettable, right? Like I'm not paying attention to cutscenes anymore and things like that. But man, the gameplay is so freaking awesome. When you're invading a base and open up a gate and two gigantic armies clash and you're sitting there in the middle of it, it feels really, really awesome. Like it reminds me of Dynasty Warriors games, if anybody plays any of those. Oh, wow. But in Dynasty Warriors, it feels very much like you are a superhero on the field of battle. Like you don't have any fear of an individual person ever, right? Like you're just walking around doing super moves and taking out 50 guys or whatever. Yeah. And For Honor, like you actually do like square off with people, and there's some enemies in that group that's like fodder, but there's tough guys who are as good as you that you actually have to block and do moves on and stuff. So it's crazy. At points my screen was in the middle of a medieval castle with probably over 100 people on screen and no type of lag or slowdown or any of that stuff, and me and Oliver fighting through it side by side, smashing skulls and stuff. It was really, really, really fun. I was shocked at how much fun I had with it. I'll probably never touch the PvP on it. I'll probably just play through the story and then be done with it. But anybody who downloaded it for free, like I recommend the story mode in it. It's nice. Good time for sure. Nice. So yeah, that was it. That was my week.
News of the week.
News of the week.
Oh.
Number 5. We got a duel between two new Batmen. Robert Pattinson versus Nicholas Hoult. Or all the marbles.
Otherwise, if you don't recognize those names, it's the dude from the vampire dude with the big forehead from Twilight, and and Beast from the X-Men movies.
Tolkien,
From the recent
also.
X-Men
Yep,
movies.
that is correct. I know Nate has some issues with Robert Pattinson, correct?
He's just too well known for those movies, and he was terrible in those movies. Like,
I'm gonna dispute that for a second, though.
Was he a sparkly vampire?
yes, he was.
Oh, he's
Those
not
movies
even
were-
Super sparkle.
Edward.
Listen, those movies were a long time ago, and he
Not
has
that
done. It was pretty long ago. He's done some artsy shit in the meantime, and it kind of proven some acting chops. I'm just saying.
Have you watched any of those movies?
I watched some of the. Yeah.
Have you? What have you seen? Like, I haven't seen any of
There's
them.
one where he's kind of crackish. He wears like a windbreaker, and he and his brother. I don't remember the name of the movie, but I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked at how good he was in it, and I'm willing to give. Listen, how many times have we had people in these roles that we were like, "There's no fucking way that Heath Ledger's gonna be a good Joker.
Yeah.
No way." And then they all prove us wrong. So I'm willing to at least hold out.
I don't think they all prove us wrong.
Well,
I think it's particularly with Batman. There's been some problematic Batmans for sure.
absolutely. I'm not saying that they
George
all
Clooney.
do, but
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, those two
Well,
in particular
Yeah.
are the worst.
all day.
Right?
Yes.
They're worse than who's the
But-
Affleck.
But this is what I argue about
I don't know
those.
about that.
Those, listen, they were big actors going into that role, right? They
Yeah.
were like, they were people, they were who we thought would do a good job in it, and ended up sucking. Michael Keaton, I wouldn't have guessed in a million years would have been a good Batman.
He was
Yeah.
It was
awesome
awesome.
Batman.
He was. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I just think like I'm not gonna put projection on this.
The
I'm gonna
problem
let it
is
roll
there's
as it is.
There's been too many Batmans. That's the problem.
Well, that's just gonna happen.
It's
I
like
mean, the
people
same
with
as
satellite
Superman.
dishes on our houses.
The same as
That's-
Superman, you know. I'm not gonna call it. Look, Pattinson obviously is not my first choice, but I'm gonna give him a shot.
I'm with you, Dirk. Like, of course, we just got to see what comes out. But those people wouldn't. Neither of those folks. If you made me like the top 10, who do you want to be Batman, are anywhere near that list. Like,
Yeah,
I just feel
I
like
agree.
first blush, those seem like bad choices. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say what I'm more concerned with is the film itself. Right. I want Matt Reeves to do a good job with the Batman.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
number
For
4.
sure.
Number 4, Marvel basically handed the reins off to Jonathan Hickman, who's a master writer in the comic business, and he asked them to completely reboot all of the X-Men titles. So they are canceling everything across the board and allowing him to restart all of the X-Men titles from scratch.
Wow.
Wow.
Which I gotta say I have no problem with at all.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think they were very good, man.
Right.
I don't. You know,
Right.
you have nothing to lose at that point.
Yeah, I think they didn't really care about X-Men because they didn't have the movie rights, and now that they got them back, they're fine with the reboot, you know. And
Yeah,
try
I
and
mean,
pump out some good books.
and Hickman's a great writer. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like if Neil Gaiman walked in and said, I want to start Spider-Man from scratch. Let me do it. They would absolutely let him fucking do it.
Hickman is not a name that I know. What else has he done that
Um,
like no?
His big one is Nightly. He did Fantastic Four. He did Shield, but he did like his Shield run was very highly acclaimed, he also his big one is Secret Wars was like his big.
Oh, he did Secret Wars.
Yeah,
Oh.
he wrote Secret Wars. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
something.
So
I know that.
and I think he left Marvel after a while. After he did that, he went to Image, did some stuff there. East of West is one of his big titles with the
Okay,
Image.
I've heard of that.
He did some other stuff, but he's just in the business. He's very renowned among
big
the
guy.
other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that he chose to do this, when they announced it, just to give you an idea, Marvel, when they announced it, they just put his last name they just said Hickman with the X behind
Right.
it.
Oh, he
So
did
it gives you an
fantastic.
idea.
Fantastic Four and the FF. Yeah, I really like him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He did
Yeah,
those
well,
Fantastic Four runs that you were all about. Like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
That's cool. It is a shame that those X-Men books have not been great, and I guess this is going to start with two short run titles. I
Yeah,
guess that he's going to write both of those, and then the
Try
real
'em out.
books are going to launch after that.
Yeah.
That does sound like a way that you get Nate interested again. If there's a couple of cool relaunch X-Men stories that aren't just the beginning of 1 through a million or whatever, right?
Yeah. Right.
Might be more likely to give it a shot, something like that. So
Yeah, I don't want to go full sprawl, and I just, for me, the team books aren't my thing naturally anyway.
Sure.
But there are certain times that I've gravitated towards X-Men. When Grant Morrison did New X-Men, I loved that,
yeah.
because it was so bizarre and out there for an X-Men title. And I have a feeling if Hickman goes that route, there's no guarantee. It could suck just because, we don't know. But
You sure?
I'm hoping because
Yeah.
I think we have so many good characters in the X universe. You need to be able to do a good job with that. And now that they've got them back in their,
Their
they're
house.
connecting everything, with the MCU and all that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and he's really good at writing teams, so I think he'll do good. I mean, he really made me love Fantastic Four. That's why they became like my favorite. Like, because he has a way of bringing the whole team together. Like with Fantastic Four, he really makes it feel like a family. Like you care about every member of that team. Like, so
I'm glad you bring that
Yeah.
up because I'm reading Dan Slott's Fantastic Four right now, and it's awesome. And I don't normally like team books, like I said, but that Fantastic Four book that's going on right now is awesome. Y'all should check it out.
yeah,
If you're not reading it. But number 3, y'all might want to speak on this, my video game brethren. Microsoft and Sony announced partnership for vague cloud streaming thing.
yeah.
What y'all got?
So basically, if you read those articles, there's been a few different articles that came
Thanks,
out,
FC.
right? What's that?
Sorry, wrong
Okay.
chat.
All right.
You are kidding me.
So
Go ahead.
few different articles came out about this, and nobody really knows what the heck they announced. Like, they basically announced that their R&D departments are going to work together for cloud streaming. Like, I read an article just today that PlayStation folks said that they didn't even know that this deal happened until they saw it in the news. Like, people who are pretty high up in Sony's PlayStation department.
Yeah.
To me, like, I don't know what you guys think, but I look at this and I try and read between the lines, and like, Sony doesn't play nice with anybody since this generation, since they have like taken over, right?
Right.
And I look at like the poor experiences that people talk about with PlayStation Now. I look at what we have all been griping about, like the streaming services that we have seen thus far haven't been as good as having a game on your device, right?
Right.
And I think this is like the sign of like they're kind of, I don't know, hearing Google come out and now in Netflix. We didn't pick the Netflix, did we? Because
No.
Netflix is basically saying they're going to have something with video games, and I think
Yeah.
the speculation is that it might be another streaming service and not just making games. So my thought is that Microsoft and Sony just know that they can't do it now, and so they're trying to partner so that they can, right? Because
Yeah.
this is where the
There are
competition
other
in the
people.
future is
Yeah,
coming from.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't
And
do
so
it by
I just-
themselves.
Yeah, they're not the only kids on the playground anymore.
Yeah, but it further convinces me that none of these are going to be the solution this year or when next gen launches or whatnot. I think that we're all still going to flock to PlayStation and Xbox because they have an option that's not streaming still. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I bet you.
Yeah.
I'm just reading those tea leaves, and if anybody could do it, you think Microsoft would be able to do it, right? I feel like they would, to be honest. Like, I would say that in the same way that I would say, oh, if anybody could do it, Google could do it. I would say the same thing about Microsoft. And so to me, this is like I don't know, just trying to read between the lines, saying that they don't know how to do it now, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Yep, I agree.
Could be.
Yeah,
time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know, But I think people will gravitate towards the people, the systems that have history and got the money to throw in it. But they might also flock to something that's brand new, and if it's a streaming experience that brings some weight to the table, who knows, man? I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that Sony and Microsoft are in this unique spot where, like, I feel as though there's some games that will be just fine streaming. Like, you think of like the Telltale games or puzzle games or things like that, right? Where it doesn't really matter if you have lag or whatever. But I just can't imagine that in 2019 or 2020 you're going to be able to play like Call of Duty or the new Destiny expansion and have it be good enough. Like, I just can't imagine that that's the case. So
exactly.
Until somebody shows me that. But I feel like Sony and Microsoft could almost have a store front, an electronic storefront where download those type of games, stream these type of games, and maybe you don't even notice what you're really doing on your end. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like whatever that could be something in their corner that could actually make them be more successful than Google coming out with something that we all try through some free trial and say, well, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never pick it up again once that happens.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Cool. All right. Number 2. Yeah. So, yeah. So people that haven't read this, the Magic Order from Image Comics is part of Mark Millar's Millar World. The pilot has been ordered, and it's going to be James Wan. Is it James Wan from Aquaman fame?
Yeah.
And
Fast and Furious or something. Huh?
Fast and Furious also directed for it. So is it going to be a full-on series? Did they mention how many episodes or?
I didn't see an episode number, but it is going to be a series. Like the pilot got ordered. That was the article, so it definitely is a series.
This is in the weird sort of area where it's going to be hard to live up to that book for me.
Right.
I don't know how they pulled that off. That was one of my favorite books of last year, and I don't know how well it's going to translate to film, especially with. I didn't watch Aquaman, but I don't know. You guys would have watched it. You could tell me. I think the people. Corey, you read both, right? You read and watched the movie, and Nate.
I mean,
I read the first issue.
Yeah,
I didn't read all of them. Yeah, but I did see the Aquaman. I mean, it's hard to tell how you would do with that. Is it gonna be live action? It is for sure live. It's not animated. Yeah.
I will say that like the Aquaman movie did make Atlantis and all the undersea worlds were like super bright and fantastical.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't just look like Gotham underwater or whatever. It had a whole different kind of feel to it that I could see that would have kind of crossover to something like this.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, Magic Order does have this dark edge to it, and I hope it has nothing to do with DC, obviously, but I don't want that. I don't want that grim DC edge. If it's gonna be grim, I want it to be like a Legion grim.
Yeah, totally.
Instead of a DC grim,
I will say that I feel like it has high potential for a comic book show that I could potentially get my wife into, who's so sick of comic book shows. Like, she wouldn't watch Umbrella Academy because it seemed too much like a comic book. Like, I think the Magic Order definitely tells a fantastical story about magicians, and I think that's
Magicians,
kind of
right?
a little bit different enough from your capes and tights folks to pull in a different crowd.
Also, the story is super strong.
Yeah.
The actual source material, and it's complete. It's not open-ended like a
Right.
certain other fantasy writer that we are going to talk about tonight. It actually is finished, so we can watch maybe the whole thing, and maybe it's just one season and it's awesome. I don't know.
Sure.
I have a little bit of breaking news maybe not breaking news, but something that wasn't added in, but connects to this a little bit. Matthew Rosenberg is writing the 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank movie.
Oh,
nice. Feature film?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, nice. That's really great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
I will say too, while we're just talking about comic book stuff, crazy Watchmen placement around Game of Thrones, huh?
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked that
Also-
was the lead in and out of the
I'm glad
fi-
that you
finale.
brought it. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because there are people that are not comic book people that are referencing Watchmen as like they already want that to be the next thing.
Right.
Like I've watched people talking about it online. They're like talking about canceling their HBO subscription. They're like, nope, I'm keeping it for Watchmen.
for Watchmen.
It's like, what? I'm like,
Wow.
am I hearing that right? That is
Total
weird.
tangent, but the Westworld trailer this week got me
That
actually
was weird.
back into it. Like I
Really?
wasn't interested in season 2, but yeah, this one with what's his name from Jesse from Breaking Bad, and like
Wow.
it got like a minute and a half into the episode or into the trailer before I even realized that it was Westworld. It took like it to say Westworld on the screen at the end of it for me to realize that it was Westworld. It was that different from the original.
Did you watch season 1?
I finished season 1 and did not watch any of season 2.
Oh, okay.
And I've tried to watch season 1 like a few times. I can't. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's not good.
I know.
That's what it is.
I watched the first episode of season 1 of Westworld, and it was strange, but it just didn't catch me. It was like
Yeah,
too
that's the
strange. So
thing.
it's just like, I don't know. This is really weird. And like one of the guys, who did he played something else that just wasn't fitting for how I saw him playing characters, and it just threw me off completely.
Yeah, I watched a
And,
few
and
episodes and
whatever.
stuff.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
What's
tried,
his
man.
name is great in that
Anthony
season one
Hopkins?
episode. What's that?
Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah,
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 well,
he's the only good thing about it in my mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever. Number 1.
Cool. Number 1.
one.
The first movie of the Benioff and Weiss Star Wars trilogy announced as the next movie coming out in the Star Wars saga or next saga, 2022. This is the next in line after the Rise of Skywalker. These are the guys from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So Dirk,
So-
you missed last week. We talked about the announcement that Disney made that 2022 would be the next Star Wars film, and then like the day between us recording and the show posting, they announced that it was their Star Wars trilogy.
Oh,
So.
yeah.
Yeah. What do
So,
y'all
yeah.
think? I mean, what do y'all think?
It'll be. I think it can be good.
It can go either way. It can go
It
absolutely.
can go either way, and not just because of how quickly they wrapped up Game of Thrones.
Worries me.
It's just hopefully they don't get too crazy involved with all these storylines.
I don't want them to start thinking about another project in the middle of their trilogy and start.
Right.
Maybe
I feel
that's what
like that
happened.
might have happened with Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They might have been in very early talks though. I feel like we got the vision of season 8 3 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't know
Yeah.
that they were in talks 3 years ago, so
Right.
I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it is interesting. Like I don't know. I think we're clearly going to talk some Game of Thrones this episode, but I feel that the one thing I can say without being in spoilery territory is that Game of Thrones definitely changed after it left the books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
kind of had a different feel to it. You know what I mean? If you would have told me this 3 seasons ago, I would have been
Sensationalism.
100% in. You know what I mean? But it seems like kind of how it changed is that I don't know what maybe I'm liking George R.R. Martin's vision more than theirs, but
Yes.
how does that translate to Star Wars? It could translate anyway, right? Like I like
Right.
their vision of Game of Thrones too. So I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean, maybe it is more suited for a blockbuster feel. Maybe the Star Wars storyline is more suited for a blockbuster feel.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if the
universe.
Right, and I don't know if the Game of Thrones model per se with those insane plot twists and like unexpected death. I don't know if that necessarily translates into Star Wars. You might have to have something different. Right.
That's not really their style, and they're gonna fit. They're gonna conform to the genre.
It's a big old question mark, dude. We have no idea what's gonna happen.
We're making conjecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, if you 3 seasons ago, I mean, even at the beginning of this season of Game of Thrones, we were super hyped when we found out about this, and now we're all like,
You're going away.
Oh, there's a lot that happened last night.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There is a lot that happened.
Cool. Hot topic.
Hot topic.
Hot topic. All right, this is like the hottest topic ever, right? This past weekend we had D&D Live 2019, which from everything that I saw just looked like the baddest fucking thing on the planet. I'm so jealous that these people that got to go to this event got to go. Yeah, it looks incredible, and I think as a group we should look into it one year.
Yeah, I agree.
Be awesome.
I would so be down.
It would be fun.
But I think actually, Nate, you might have picked up on it a little more than I didn't get to watch much of it. I know sort of the breakdown of what was released, but I didn't get to watch any of the events. Did you watch some?
I watch a lot, to be honest. Like the opening ceremonies. If you watch their YouTube channel, look at the opening ceremonies. That's an hour and a half long, and that's where they go through all the announcements and whatnot.
Awesome.
I did watch a separate video that was just Perkins and Crawford talking about the new book. And then there was like on the Saturday they had like 4 different channels live streaming games with celebrities in them the whole time.
So massive, right?
Yeah.
It's so huge now. It's like an official. It feels like such a huge thing now.
Yeah. Yep.
It was never the case before.
Is it huge?
I will say that they do, like, you can tell that they don't have as much money as like some of these big video game companies when they put on presentations and things like that. Like
the passion's there.
Right, for sure. But it was like, I feel like for an event like this, there's a few different things where like when things were being announced, if I was watching a stream or something instead of the announcement and I would go to D&D.com, like it wouldn't be updated. It's still not now. Even.
No, it's not. Their website's not great for that.
Right, and I just feel like there's a whole like thing of I don't know. It was hard to get information on the announcements when they were happening, and even like Googling it brought me to like older editions versions of all this stuff.
Yeah, I had to go to third-party websites to get the news.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, exactly. But the event itself was cool. All those people, it's funny, especially the 2 big guys, Perkins and who's the other one that I'm thinking of? Crawford, yeah, Perkins and Crawford. Those 2, I can just listen to them talk forever. Like,
and Merles is the third generally.
Yeah, but he wasn't on camera a lot from the things that I saw. But yeah, just it's so right on that those guys are in charge of it right now. They have such awesome imaginations. It's just really cool to hear them talk about this stuff. And I do find it funny if you subscribe to Dragon Talk, their official podcast. They always do the lore you should know. I tell you what, They do it every week. In the last 2 months, I've been listening, and I specifically listened to at least just that segment. It has all been leading up to Descent into Avernus. The stuff that they've been talking about for Lore You Should Know has been all about hell, and what the different layers are like, and what the big
sense.
players down there are, and all that stuff. Like they've dropped those hints.
We saw it with Mordenkainen, though, also.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yep.
You know,
Next
we should have known, and I know now exactly if they release a source book, it's going to be connected to whatever adventure's coming next. And
Right.
Mordenkainen is all demons and devils. We should have seen writing on the wall then. I don't know why I didn't think it was going to go that route. I initially was like, really? I was like, Baldur's Gate? I mean, fuck. I don't know, dude. Like, how many times we gonna fucking go to Baldur's Gate? But when I heard the storyline and I heard why, and then I started thinking, like, you know, they couldn't have done this in the 80s with the Satanic Panic thing. This is their time to, like, catch up and fucking get into hell and just do all the satanic shit that they want to fucking do, dude. So that pumped me up a little bit. I was like, all right, now I kind of see it.
For sure.
You know,
it seems like Baldur's Gate itself, like it sounds like from what they say is you're gonna be in hell in level 1, is what they act like.
Absolutely.
Because they've talked a lot about how that should be a super scary situation or whatever, right? So I don't think it's weird. Like if you notice on the cover art of the book, it says Baldur's Gate. So first of all, I guess we should say the first big thing that they announced is their new book, right? It's an adventure called Descent into Avernus, but it's called Baldur's Gate : Descent into Avernus.
Right.
And so like you wonder if they're going to have Baldur's Gate : other things, right? And almost do like Tales of the Yarning Portal, but over several books.
Well, yeah, I mean the two current ones are Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, and Waterdeep. So they're probably
Dungeon
doing
and
all
Mad
the
Mage.
cities.
Yeah.
Dungeon and Mad Mage. So, and those are both titled Waterdeep.
Yeah, you're right.
But they announced those at the same time.
Yeah.
Fair. This one they just said by itself. But I also think this is smart product placement on Wizards, because the video games are coming out this year also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're reissuing all that, and Baldur's Gate's like at the top, front and center.
Yeah.
Product placement all the fucking way. I understand it. I get it. And actually, dude, I gotta say, Wizards of the Coast is brilliant because I did not care about another Forgotten Realms adventure. And when I started listening and hearing the description, I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna buy this fucking book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it.
Right?
It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I guess for the news that we care about is on the last days, somebody dropped the bomb that they're going to do an Eberron source book, right? So that's other big news around this.
That's huge news.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wonder how much it'll differ from the PDF that you can get now from them. If it's hopefully it'll be a lot thicker, you would think, right? Like we'll see.
They always do. Yeah. Anytime they have PDF stuff to play test, they always fatten it, and correct it and yada yada. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as big as what you got from third. 3.5 was it 3.5 or 4?
3.5. Both of them.
Yeah.
3.5.
I don't think it's going to be that big because that was Keith Baker's like baby. He dropped that, He just dropped that. That was like everything coming out of his head. But I think it is going to be refined. I think it's going to be ready to go. And Eberron is awesome, and it's one of the most creative settings in D&D, in my opinion. And I can't wait to get a crack at it, and I hope people want to play it. So, because I'm going for it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
What's up with the kit?
The Essentials kit? The Essentials kit is that Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, and Monster Manual.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No, it's like an updated thing.
It's a super brief. It's like a starter's kit. It's another starter's kit with brief rules and things like that. Like it's for the person who wants D&D to be as least complicated as possible. That's what it is. it comes with like rules and adventure, just like all the other starter kits do. Just a little bit more, like I say, aimed at the newbie person who's not interested in doing a lot of math.
You know who else is aimed at, right?
Huh.
Teenagers.
So I think I might have explained this in past shows. I don't remember if I did the last one, but there's this big thing happening in the role-playing community called OSR, which is Old School Revival.
Yeah.
And it dials back a lot of the rules. And these are like experienced gamers. These are not people that are just walking into it. They're choosing to play something that is less rule-based. So it's a lot more open. It's a lot more. There's a lot less mechanical stuff going on, and there has been a flurry of it all throughout other games. OSR is like one of the hot things in the TTRPG community that's exploding. So I wonder if this is also beyond the people just coming in that don't want to deal with the rules, if this is their appeal to people that want to play 1E, a little bit.
Right. Yep.
Could be.
Absolutely could be. And then the other like products that they announced this week were if you ever played Dungeon Mayhem, it's a card party game.
Yeah.
If you ever played that, so they're doing a Battle for Baldur's Gate expansion for that, and then Rick and Morty. I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm not a big Rick and Morty fan, but I know lots of people like it.
Yeah,
I
know people
they
that
released last month a bunch of comics that were Rick and Morty versus D&D, and so they announced a book that's called D&D versus Rick and Morty, which is a small, it said level 1 through 3 adventure in the Rick and Morty world, right?
That's fun.
Wow.
That's good. No, I mean, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's just possibility of pulling more people in, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to cross-platform and take people from there and bring them in.
Dude, Rick and Morty has a lot of serious fans. I mean, I got a friend of mine that does not watch any other animated stuff, and he loves Rick and Morty and tries to sell me on it all the time. So that's cool.
Woo!
Yeah, so that was it.
That's
That's
it.
our hot topic.
Are y'all interested in playing Avernus or?
When we have time.
I will say that it totally just from what I guess I can't even spoil it. I won't talk about it. I guess it feeds into Horde of the Dragon Queen super well.
Yes,
super well.
Well, because I mean, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but the first hell, Tiamat exists on the first hell.
Right.
Apparently, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about it. But I guess in the Sin of Avernus, they go into vehicles and stuff, and they go into like what it's like to play in hell, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Totally awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vehicles, I forget what they call them. It's gosh, I forget what the hell they call them. But they said basically also that it's tough. One interview that I was reading is that if you have a good character in hell, they talked about how it would be, this adventure could still be really cool because it's one of the only cases, like usually the good character is like, you might take inspiration from your god or to some degree be driven by whatever your character's into. But this, they talked about like, this is your real action to go fight demons and devils and all that stuff, and so they said that you can get out of there and be pretty fired up about life after doing that. Mm-hmm. You've taken direct action like on your deity's enemies or whatnot, right?
That's
that
awesome.
You can't really do in other books. But they also talked about those war machines that you're talking about there, Dirk.
Yes,
that those are fueled
by souls,
right?
Yeah.
So if you're a good aligned character, how do you deal with that, right? Like it could be
right.
Evil people's souls maybe, but still that's got to be a little bit of an issue for you,
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Lyman check.
All right, hot topic.
Hot topic.
Blockhead printing for all your custom dirty shirt printing, cons, parties, or gaming clubs. This is a full service, badass screen printing company. Check out blockheadprinting.com.
Welcome everybody to a show has no name.
The final.
Yeah, the very last one, the finale of Game of Thrones. If you're new to our show, we're going full spoilers from here on out. So if you have not finished all of Game of Thrones, you'll want to check out for sure.
Because this will ruin your life if you are not ready for it.
So we really appreciate you. Have a great week. All that other stuff.
Much like it ruined Daenerys' life.
So for the rest of y'all, let's do this. Huh?
Jump in. I've been bummed, dude. You know, I mean, I've been reading like several people not being okay with the way it ended. I've read or encountered several people that were just very complacent, which is sort of where I am with it. I'm just okay with it. But I'm also looking at the entirety of the series, viewing this, and I'm seriously bummed out about it.
About it being gone.
Yeah, I was like, this is it, man. This is it. Like, I looked at it. Somebody did a mega mix of 1 second from every episode and put it all together. Yeah. And I just saw all the iconic scenes in a row, and I just had fucking goosebumps the entire time. I was like, man, you know, seeing Tyrion bitch slap, what is it, Joffrey? I forgot about that. I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten about it completely. Yeah.
Just look on Joffrey's face, like
yeah, oh, fantastic! Just so many moments throughout the series. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm fine with the ending because it took me a while to process it. It took me last night and all today just to think about it, and no, I'm cool with the way it ended. It made sense. I saw some negativity online, and they're complaining. They're like, what, after all that, everyone just goes back to their normal lives? I'm like, well, yeah, wouldn't you want to go back to normalcy?
Right. I don't think the Starks are going back to normal lives.
No, Sansa's, yeah.
I don't think any of them are.
It also sets up, like, possible warfare again, because the Starks are their own country, essentially. Right. And now you have 6 beneath them. So, I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I knew, I just had a feeling that the throne was going to be destroyed. And I got that right. I just didn't know what was going to happen after that.
Or who's going to destroy the throne.
Exactly. That was absolutely the highlight of the episode for me was Drogon just burning that thing to fucking...
melting it to lava,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. He looked at Jon like he was going to do him.
Yeah.
And it turned. And this was my theory about it. I told Vanessa, I was like, because he knew that throne killed his mom, right? It wasn't Jon. Jon was just doing, you know, what he had to do. That throne and the lust for the throne is what killed his mother. Yeah. And that's what he took out.
The lust for the throne is what killed everybody.
Right.
Yeah. It's that's the only explanation, is that he was just smart enough to realize what happened there. Like, because if you just look at him as like, you killed my mom. Yeah. Like, then obviously he's just gonna kill Jon. Like, I thought for sure he was dead there, and then but apparently he's smart enough to realize that the lust for the throne is what killed her, and that she actually needed to die, even though he was willing to burn down the whole city a couple hours before that. But,
and the Targaryens created that throne also. The Targaryens created that throne. Jon was a Targaryen, so he had multiple reasons, you know.
I wish that the dragons in this series would talk also. Like, I do think that there was kind of that, like, you didn't know how smart they were really ever.
Right.
No, you didn't.
Like, you just knew that they were smart enough to not kill Dany, but I feel like my dog could be that smart. You know what I mean?
They're like pets.
No,
totally
not Cosmo.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I mean, historically and through all the lore and everything, dragons have always been portrayed as very intelligent.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not even in the D&D realm. I mean, even in Tolkien's realm.
But some more intelligent than others, right?
Some
a highly intelligent animal versus, you know, something that's smarter than a human, which is in D&D, dragons on the average are smarter than humanoids. I don't know. It was interesting. It was nice to see resolution finally, where we did not see resolution in maybe some episodes past.
Yeah.
But I'm sad to see it go, no matter what it is, you know.
For
Yep,
sure.
I'm with you. I'm done. I thought about what I wanted to discuss about this in this segment, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about any of my nitpicking bullshit because I'm so sick of hearing these fuckers complain
I
about
know.
it. Like,
I know.
seriously, like it's
Yeah.
just don't watch it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand those folks. Like, even with like the main like impressions seem to be that they rushed everything into this 6 episodes and they didn't and there were plot lines that weren't resolved. And I just feel like even with that, you got all the major plot lines resolved. You got Arya being a badass. You got the Winterfell episode was like one of the coolest 60 minutes ever put on film, I feel like I have a hard time, you know, doing that. So it's like all these little things that people complain about that I can look at individually and say, yeah, you're right, that it is dumb that whatever, that they didn't put more into whatever. But ultimately, like, I'm not going to sit here and bitch about this work of art that was presented to us. And it's entertainment. Right. I'm just going to enjoy it, you know?
That's it.
Yeah. And all these people that signed this petition, over 1 million signatures so far to rewrite the last season. No. What's done is done. What's done is done. Shit. Because what you're going to get is a George Lucas episode 4. Or you're going to get the fucking Phantom Menace with dragons and swords. That's what you're going to get.
They're totally like Kathy. They're like Kathy Bates from Misery, is what it is. They're totally Kathy Bates from Misery. I mean,
right. Like, to me, it's like you're just going to bitch about it and ask somebody else to rewrite it. Like, come up with a different idea and make a story yourself. Yeah. Like,
also, exactly.
Like, that's not how art works. You don't go to the artist and say, I don't like what you did, so I demand somebody else redoes it. Like, it's just, it's infuriating.
Yeah, exactly. Who decides which one out of the plots that they suggest is going to be the right one?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, what? Like these 50 people over here figure that John's going to do this, so we should go with that. No, get out of here.
Yeah. Right.
That's it's ridiculous.
My only gripe, I don't mind any of the other shit that everybody's bitching about, but my only gripe after last night's episode is I feel like Grey Worm would have killed Jon Snow. Like, I don't think I couldn't have seen like
he wanted to, but he's pretty much follows orders to the letter, and he was never ordered to kill Jon Snow. I'm sure if Danny said kill Jon Snow, he wouldn't have blinked.
I just see him walking into the room where Danny just got flown off dead, and seeing Jon Snow standing there and throwing a spear right in his face. Like,
and I think that's why they did their cut and time jump at that point.
Yeah,
because it was actually the perfect point to fade to black, because then you just have the shock of Jon killing Danny.
Yeah.
And then the dragon looks like he's gonna chomp down on Jon, then he melts the throne, picks up her lifeless body,
and heads where? To Essos.
And takes off. And that was it. And then it's like, for a second, I had to even think about it, because you see Tyrion's face and you're like, does he actually have a full beard? How much time has passed now? You're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you find out the Unsullied took over what's left of King's Landing, you know, and the Dothraki. But it's better that Grey Worm, if he did find Jon Snow, it's better that Grey Worm found him than the Dothraki, because they would have just killed him on sight.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like any of them would have, though. But that was my only complaint. Other than that, I loved Game of Thrones.
I got a top 10
sad to see it go.
Watching that whole scene of that leading up where Danny's talking to Jon and they start kissing, the minute that happened and they were in mid-kiss, I really felt it that he was going to kill her at that point. Yeah. I don't know why. Because he got really into it. And before, he was always pulling back.
Sure.
And then he
wanted to give her a goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny, that scene, like, it was really cool how for 30 seconds you couldn't tell who got stabbed.
No.
You know what I mean? They did a really great job of making different faces and stuff at each other. Like, both of them
Yeah.
just being like, I can't believe this. Yeah, I can't believe this. Like, I thought that was really great. And then, like, I also, like, especially, like, enjoy the wrap up. Like,
Yeah.
Dirk, you're right. Like, the Starks taking over everything. That's kind of what my wife kind of was most kind of complaining about also. But again, I think that leads into future stories, right? And Bran's not even really a Stark anymore anyways, right? He's like this whatever,
Yeah.
this shell.
Yeah,
that
I did not
houses
see
the
him
three-eyed
become
raven, you know?
king.
I guess if I had one complaint, if I had really one gripe,
You got
was how yeah is how I can't remember the actor's name that plays Bran, but how he portrayed Bran. I think that's what's offsetting to a lot of folks because he was all creepy and not that all-knowing, all-seeing kind of creepy. He was that pedophile creepy.
Sure.
And he was always creeping in the shadows, and he's like, I know, you were where you were supposed to be. I'm like, dude, come on.
Right.
Change your acting style a little bit. Take it down. But I'm glad that it made sense that Bran became
The broken.
Bran the
Master
Broken became the king of the Andals and first in his name. And
Oh, I thought you said Bron.
oh, I did say Bran. I changed it.
Okay.
But
Bran got his
so-
piece.
Bran
That was
got
my-
it.
My
Yeah.
favorite part of this episode was the council meeting
Yeah.
at the end. They were so awesome together. That new group was so great.
Yeah.
And I saw something today that joked about the Onion Knight. What's his name? Davos.
Davos.
No, not. Is it
Davos.
Davos?
Yeah.
Like,
Davos.
if you remember, like, he was illiterate at the beginning of this, and a Baratheon's daughter taught him how to read.
Yeah.
And then
I saw
so
that.
he's also Bronn makes fun of him for being the grammar police.
Yeah.
So that was like his adventure from beginning to end. Is not only did he go from illiterate to now being the grammar police for people, you know?
Well,
Thought that was funny.
And Tyrion made good on his bet, his deal with Bronn, that whatever someone would pay him to kill
Yeah.
Tyrion, he would double it, and he fucking doubled it.
He got Highgarden.
You know, he got more than that. He's the master of coin, and
Right.
he wants
Yeah.
to build brothels again.
Nobody can out money him anymore.
No.
Also,
And,
we got full resolution with Ghost, which
Yeah,
I was
finally.
really worried was not
Yeah.
going to happen. And I almost broke into tears seeing that because I was like, oh my God, it's Ghost. And we see John. You know, John had such a problematic journey to that point. You know, there's a lot of times he was expected to be the hero and the leader and this stuff, and he never really fulfilled the roles in a lot of times. Somebody
He played
else
the
would
reluctant
co-opt it.
hero. He
And
played the
this is-
reluctant hero.
At the end, he sacrificed himself basically by doing that,
Right.
basically to save the kingdom. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sorry, Dirk, but that's why John could never take over be king, because
Right.
he
can't
had
rule
committed
people like
murder.
that.
He had committed murder basically, and instead of it was always the choice in the old ways. The choice was you either get killed for your actions, or you join the Night's Watch. So that made perfect sense with the whole thing.
So
And he
did
belongs
join
with the
Night's
Wildlings.
Watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
He went with
does.
the Wildlings instead.
he's a wildling at heart anyway, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he belongs there.
Yeah.
I thought
So-
I thought it was all that part of it was all perfect. I thought
Yeah.
sending him to the Night's Watch as like punishment, but honestly, he was always so reluctant to ever lead anyways that for him it must be like a sigh of relief, right?
Absolutely.
And then,
Yep.
and then, like you say, he took off of the Night's Watch. He doesn't want to be their master either, right?
No.
He just wants to go with the Wildlings and live free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freeman. That was perfect. I thought his storyline probably ended better than almost anybody else's, even though as seemingly as terrible as it might have started off. I mean, he does have to live with the guilt of killing the woman that he loves, but he
And
also
his aunt. Yeah.
and his aunt. Well, yeah, but I think he ended up happy. You know?
Yeah. I think Arya's ending was great. Also,
I would be down to
Yeah.
see an Arya
This is
spinoff,
awesome.
dude.
I think
Yeah.
everybody would.
I would be down because I liked how it ended. Because
Sure.
she told Gendry that she wasn't a lady, and she went off and did her own thing and let
Going
Sansa
further.
be what she's gonna be. Sansa took over as a badass bitch queen of the North.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that tiara she's wearing was badass, dude, with the 2-star dire wolves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I did like the council because we didn't even talk about the council. It had everybody.
Robert
had-
Aaron. Robert Aaron.
You know,
Vale.
he came a long way from the Vale and sucking on his
dude.
mom's tit.
Listen, all the women.
He came a
Listen,
long
all the
way.
women. All the women on Twitter are going crazy over Robert Aaron. They were like, "Man, he's glowed up."
And then Sansa shows her command of the Tullys, the Tullys is where her mom came from. That's where I can't remember her name now. Caitlin Stark.
Yeah.
She was a Tully, and that's who he was at River Run with the 2 fish on his collar.
Yeah, I was wondering who that even was. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this?
It took me a second to see the house crest, and then I'm like, oh, I know that house.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Dorne doesn't give a shit about anything happening in Westeros.
Yes. Yeah, the dude spent the whole session
Yeah,
like
lounging. Yeah, from Dorne.
Somebody was like, "Did they have some trouble with zombies up there, or a dragon or something?" I don't know.
Some blonde-haired chick.
Yeah.
Well, even Sam, it was funny because Sam was sitting as head of House Tarly, and then you see him as the Archmaester at King's Landing.
Yeah.
Was it King's Landing? It was King's Landing. Yeah, they had all the old stuff, and we did miss a part though that confirmed that Cersei and Jaime were actually killed in that landslide, and I thought that was a very touching thing. That after all their fighting, Tyrion still cared for his brother and sister.
Yep.
When he found them, he
That was a
openly
moving
cried.
moment. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And that was how it opened up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great. Look, one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I never in a million years, when I first read the book and then watched the show, I was excited about it being on HBO because I was like, "Ooh, a fantasy series." Never in a million years did I predict what the fuck happened after that.
Yeah.
It just exploded on the scene, and we're all better for it, man. Fiction and fantasy as a whole,
Yeah.
all of us
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No doubt.
Yeah. It was.
Thank you, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you.
And even if that one was not as exciting because it was more story driven, we still got the Long Night episode, which, as Nate said, is probably one of the best battles in cinematic history.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're bowing to him.
Thank you. All right.
So, yeah,
Next is the wrap up.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. This is the final episode of A Show Has No Name.
That's it.
And that's it. So,
And that's
thanks
it.
everyone
So-
for watching and listening to this week's show.
I'm sorry, I thought we were done talking 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
No, we're not done.
Now was the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Wrap
thought
up
I was
is
done.
Just
the
roll
wrap
with
up,
it.
Jeff.
Just roll into it.
I'll edit that out. The
No
balance.
edit.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, thank you for listening or watching this week's show, our final show. Really appreciate you. However, the show is going to go on, and those that are carrying it on could absolutely use your support to make it better, right? So head on over to patreon.com/GCANDC. For as little as $1 a month, you can help this product grow.
Right.
And make us holla.
Yeah. And find us on Twitter at GCANDC. Join our Discord and Facebook groups.
For sure. And if you're looking for some of our old swag, we'll keep it up. It's t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and stickers, whatever you want. You can find it at the Games, Comics, and Culture store at teespring.com. And lastly, Fred Thomas has been awesome using your opening music for the intro to the show, and we really appreciate all that you did. And then C Rider, as always, thank you for your awesome logo. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Later.
Signing off.